Welcome to the Behind the Art Inspiration podcast. On today's episode, I'm meeting with Barbara Pastorino, one of my favorite persons to collaborate with. She's in Milan, Italy. This is episode 2 of season 4. If you remember, last time I was interviewing Ruth Christensen from the UK. And what's fun about this is I've gone and collaborated in Milan and Varallo with Barbara. And then I've also gone to Montenegro and collaborated with Ruth. And now the three of us are going to be getting together. So to collaborate. And that's what this episode today is talking about, a little bit of what we've done and what we're going to do. But thank you so much for joining me, Barbara. How are you today?
Thank you, Caroline, for having me. I'm quite fine, even if my arm is impossible to use because it's completely plastered due to a fall. And I'm trying anyway to to enjoy life and to plan specific artistic journey for our future.
Yes. And so the last time I saw Barbara was this summer. I was in Egypt for a week and then got on a plane and landed in Milan, had a driver drive me up to Varallo, which was this really unique place because not only when it was, but where I was. And I found the most beautiful Airbnb and was welcomed warmly by Barbara and her daughter Sueva and husband Andres. And it was during a music festival. And that added extra flavor to what we were doing. And it was a lot of fun. And we did 3 collaborations on that trip. Tell everybody where we were first.
First, we have been in the center of Varallo in a very nice little place close to the river that crosses Varallo. And we had been painting together with another Italian painter, Michela, on the grass and looking at this beautiful landscape with all the ancient city of Varallo next to us. And from below, we were seeing the Sacro Monte, that is a place that is a holy place that we were seeing from far away.
So we looked up over the buildings we were painting to see Sacro Monte, and then in front of us was the river Sesia. Is that how you say it?
It was the river Mastallone, that is a small creek that goes to Sesia some kilometers later.
And we had an audience. So because it was during this music festival, there were people milling around and it was an event, so and behind us, there was a wall where people could be watching from above. So we had an audience from above, and we also had the mayor come visit us and a journalist stop by. What is the mayor's name again?
The mayor is Pietro Bondetti.
That's
the
right.
Mayor that was greeting us and taking pictures with us. Yeah, it was a moment in which lots of people come to Varallo to visit, to also to listen to the concerts. So it's a moment in which Varallo is very liveful and full of people around.
Yes, and big concerts at night. Happy concerts, just it was very quaint in the middle of the city and of the city that Barbara grew up in. So it's kind of a special place for her. So we did one collaboration there with Michaela with just the beautiful buildings.
Mhm.
Ancient, right? The city is ancient.
Yeah, it's very ancient. Yeah.
Mhm. And then
Yeah.
our second collaboration, where was that one?
The second collaboration was on the mountain because Varallo is at 400 meters of altitude. And we went with the help of our friend Antonio. We went with the jeep to Alagna and then to the almost the Punta Indren, that is something like 2000 meters. And so the weather was very different because it was much colder there. It was full of green, beautiful landscape, even if we had been a little unlucky because it was a little foggy. So we couldn't be able to see the Monte Rosa, because Monte Rosa is the second mountain in Italy and is more than 4,000 meters.
Yeah, so I saw the mountain to a certain extent, and then, like you said, the clouds just shrouded the top.
Mm.
So I never really saw the peak. Now, what I really loved were those cows wearing the cowbells that were just up high on the mountain. And since the wind was blowing, we could hear as we were painting the cowbells chiming. And just to paint a scene of what it looked like, we found a spot, rolled out our really big canvases. Barbara had one giant canvas. I had two skinny canvases to kind of make a bigger square. And it was it was a very kind of a really impressionistic what we were painting, right? And what happened was at one point when we were almost finished, it started to rain.
Yeah.
So it left a really interesting mark because the paint was wet and then it got rolled up.
Yeah, in fact, it's a quite of a happening. So the effect of the nature on our
Yes.
paintings.
I'm going to fast forward to our third uh, collaboration in Varallo. In Varallo,
Yeah.
which, just a little behind the scenes, Barbara and I really want to do a retreat. And so this was one of the places that we want to do, host other artists or anybody who just wants to paint at a retreat. And we were actually at Sacramonte.
Yeah. Sacramento.
And that was so picturesque. We went up onto a balcony and looked out of the balcony to the church.
Mhm. Yeah. And Sacramento is a very special place. It's a part of the heritage of the UNESCO because it is so unique. It was built in 1400 and to recreate the Holy Earth. And it is spatial. It has many chapels in which there are statues that represent the life of Jesus Christ. So it's a very beautiful places, very um, special for many people, and it is also beautiful to visit. And it is really also interesting to paint, I think.
Yes. So I want to invite the listeners to watch episode 1 of season 4, where I talk about my collaboration with Ruth, and then watch this episode also, and know that this is all going to be tied together to where Barbara and Ruth and I are going to be doing even more collaborations The next one, it may be here in Tampa, Florida, like actually Safety Harbor, Clearwater. And we're really excited by that. And the reason that they're coming to the States is because we have a show in New York that is showing an even larger collaboration, which is with the International Online Art Collective, which the three of us are members of. And so the International Online Art Collective is a group of 14 artists from, I think, 8 or 9 countries. And we have our first show called Chain Reaction in New York. And I can put more information in the show notes about that. And did I leave out any? Oh, another thing we're going to collaborate on, the three of us, is we're going to be entering some of the National Arts Foundation, no, National Parks Art Foundation artist residencies. One's in Maui, one's in the Dry Tortugas, to where we can foster and do more of these really gigantic painting explorations where we're all kind of looking and experiencing the same thing, but then interpreting it or reacting to it in our own styles. Because we are similar, but we're also very different. And then when we do that, we're kind of learning from each other. Like I know that when I was with Barbara, I was learning to work with pigments and enamels. And also, she has this really cool technique that she does with the canvas and sort of the wet paint. And then when I was working with Ruthie, we were learning together about these new materials to work with. But I seem to be talking a lot. So, Barbara, what else?
I'm looking forward to collaborate again with you and with Ruthie. And I really hope to be able to come to the States and so to collaborate with you in Tampa and then to go together to our first exhibition of the International Online Art Collective that will be in New York at the beginning of November. So it's really a good occasion to get together and to meet again and to collaborate again. I really hope to be able to come.
Yes. And so Barbara and Ruth, I think, are going to be getting together next week for the first time, like in person. Like we've known each other for 3 years, but it's really so exciting. And you learn so much about that person when you actually see them in person. And when you were with them, you realize how much you have in common with them that you didn't really know. Like you didn't really know. And I think you're going to find that once you meet Ruth in person. Like, I'm excited for you guys.
Yeah.
But I want to say thank you, everybody, for joining us as I share my love of connection and fun and art, of course. And please subscribe so you can hear more of these episodes. I'm going to probably do my next one with Ruth and Barbara together. So I know it's the Ruth and Barbara and Caroline show, but whatever. But thank you and goodbye, everybody. Don't
Thank
go
you.
anywhere. Yeah.